Some of you have reached out and wanted an update on what's going on the base, what's going on with the kvuros, and also a few divrei chizuk. So I want to share with you a few things that keep me going, Be'ezrat Hashem, and also give you a little bit of an update. So the update is that there is not much of an update. We're continuing with our avoda. We work around the clock trying to get as many chalalim, as many those who got killed al Kiddush Hashem identified as quickly as possible. We work very hard, very diligently, and we try to do it with yira and kavod. And we witness with our own eyes. I see what we say in davening. Nichshavnu katzon, latevach yuval, la'arog u'la'abed, u'lemaka u'lecherpa. We were treated like cattle. We were taken out to be shachted, one after the next. Tak, men, women, children, all ages. Terrible zvaot that we see. When I came home on the first day, after the first day, so I walked in, my father was there and he stood up and he said, let me shake your hand. Let me shake your hand that deals with the Kedoshim. He takes my hand and he kissed it. And it brought tears to my eyes. But that's what we view it. We view it as an avoda of Kedoshim. Of these are Kedoshei Elyon. And we try as quickly as possible, as we mentioned in the previous video, to get them to Kvuras Yisrael in the most fitting way, to give closure to the family and to give closure for Am Yisrael. The Rabbanut even paskin now that we were able to work through Shabbos. I personally wasn't there, but there were teams that were working throughout Shabbos. Why? Because of Ruach HaMilchama. Right? They felt that if Am Yisrael has this closure, the soldiers on the front line need to know that their soldiers, their brothers, their sisters are taken care of, that they're brought to Kvur Yisrael. It gives them the strength and it gives them the ability to be able to fight, to continue, to win this battle, to win this war. So the Rabbanut paskin that we can even work through Shabbos itself. On Shabbos itself, we're also able to work through. And the question that many people ask me is, how do you do this? How do you work there in the morning and then come at home at night? How do you wake up in the morning with a drive to continue? And I think it's a question, it's not just for me, but it's a question for all of Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael went through the shock of their life last Shabbos, 2 Shabbos ago, Simchas Torah. The shock of our life. When I was in school, we were taught about people being burnt alive. We were taught about families being annihilated, but those were stories of the Holocaust. That's not something that our generation was supposed to experience. That was the old grandmother or grandfather telling us an interesting story. Listen what happened. It was terrible. The fact that we witnessed on a small level what some survivors witnessed, families being wiped out, people being burnt alive. That's not for our generation. How does our generation get up and continue? How do we move forward? What keeps me going in the morning? And hopefully what can help you keep you going in the morning? That's a question that I want to answer today. And it's a very important question that we need to ask, and it's a very important question that we need to answer. Because as a nation and as an individual, we need to be able to wake up in the morning and we need to be able to continue. So how do we do it? How do we, after experiencing such shock, such trauma, such pain and suffering, how are we able to get up in the morning and continue? I think the answer could be found in Parshas Bereshis that we read. HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the third day commands the earth to create trees. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu commands that it should be etz pri osepri, that the tree itself, the bark and the branches, need to have the flavor of the fruit itself, of the end product. So if you have an apple tree, the trunk itself and the branches itself should taste like an apple as well. If you have an orange tree, the trunk and the branches should taste like the orange itself. The Medrash that Rashi quotes says that Am Yisrael, that the trees did not listen. The trees did not listen. And when Adam sinned and ate from the Eitz Hadas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished him also for not, HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the earth itself and punished the trees itself also for not listening. But what does this mean? How do we understand this medrash that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded that the trees, the bark and the branches need to taste like the fruit itself, and they didn't listen? Right? What's going on over here? How do we understand this medrash? I think if we can answer this medrash, it will answer for us, how do we continue? How do we survive? How do we move forward? What's the way that we could deal with the situation that we're in? So they relate an interesting story, that there was this American businessman who was going from America to Mexico. And he's driving in his nice, beautiful car, and the Border Patrol in Mexico stops him, and they say, what are you doing? Where are you going? What are you doing over here? So he stops, and he tells them, no, listen, there's an auction in Mexico that I'm trying to buy a few products, and that's where I'm going. So they let him through. And this happened on a Tuesday. The next Tuesday, the same businessman drives to the border, and the Border Patrol stops him, and he recognizes him. He says, hey, where are you going? He says, I'm going, there's another auction. I'm bidding on a few products that also I would like to buy. So he lets them through. And this happens week in and week out. And now the border officer is a little suspicious. What's going on over here? He must be smuggling something. Something over here he's bringing in. So he opens up his trunk and the engine and he takes the seats out. And every week he's trying to find out what he's smuggling and he can't find everything. This goes on for many years. Every Tuesday, the man would drive into Mexico. On Wednesday, he would come back to America. And it would go on year after year. After 15 years, the border officer is retiring. And the man comes on Tuesday and he pulls him over to the side. He says, my dear friend, for the past 15 years you've been passing here. I'm retiring tomorrow. Let me know what, I know for sure you were smuggling something. What is it that you were smuggling? What were you bringing across the border? So the man tells him, he says, when you're done completely, I'll take you out to a cup of beer and I'll share everything with you. So the next day he retires, he takes him out to a cup of beer and he says, listen, he says, my dear officer, he says, you always thought that me driving from point A to B I was trying to smuggle something in. He says, I was, but you weren't careful enough. You know what I was smuggling in? I was smuggling the car itself. Every week, I would bring in a new car. A brand new car used to come in, and that was my business. 52 cars a year. So for the past 15 years, I was able to smuggle in 780 cars. What the officer didn't understand, he thought that the journey was a means to an end. It was to get from point A to B. But what the businessman taught him, he says, no, the journey itself was the means. The way to get from point A to B, that was the means itself. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the tree, he said, what is the tree? What is the trunk and the branches? That is the process to get to the fruit. When you plant the seed in the ground and it grows into a tree, so the tree is what gives the nutrients to the fruit itself, and then the fruit is created. So the tree represents the journey to the fruit itself. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling the tree is that the journey itself needs to also have a little bit of the flavor of the tree. The journey itself needs to also have a little bit of sweetness. You need to be able to taste the sweetness of the fruit in the journey itself. But the tree didn't listen. And many times in our life, we're like this tree. We don't listen. We don't find the sweetness in the journey. A person gets married and he has a kid. I can't wait till he starts crawling. I can't wait till he starts walking. I can't wait till he's in kindergarten. I can't wait till he starts high school. I can't wait till he gets to yeshiva. I can't wait till he gets married. We're always in the journey. We're not appreciating the journey. We're always waiting for the big thing at the end. We're not living in the moment. We don't taste the sweetness of the journey itself. There's one fruit where Chazal tell us that you could taste a little bit of the fruit in the branches itself. And that is the etrog, the esrog that we shake on Sukkot. And what does the pasuk say? You take the etrog and you shake it. Lifnei Hashem Elokecha v'samachtem lifnei Hashem Elokecha. You'll find happiness before Hashem when you're able to find the sweetness in the journey itself, in the process to the fruit, to the end game. That's when you'll be able to have happiness. That's when we'll be able to continue. So Am Yisrael right now, we're in the stage of the bark. We're in the stage of the branch. We're in the process to the fruit itself. The fruit is Mashiach. Right now, our bark is bitter. What our goal is, what we need to do, the way to continue, is to be able to find a little bit of flavor of the fruit in the branch, in the process itself. There's another fascinating halacha with regards to karbanos. Karbanos have 4 steps to every karban. There's the shchita, the slaughtering. There's the Kabbalah, the Kohen accepts the blood in a vessel. There's the holacha. He walks from point A to point B. He walks to the mizbeach, and then there's the zrika, where he throws the blood on the mizbeach. And some of the commentaries says, why is holacha part of the avodah? Why is that a step in the avodah? That's not a step. That's a necessary component. We need to bring the blood from point A to point B, from the area where they shachted it to the mizbeach. Why is the holacha part of the avodah, and it's something that the Kohen needs to do? So the Mefarshim explained that, the Torah here also is teaching us that the process itself is an avodah. The going from point A to B is also something that we need to work on, and that's part of the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. Am Yisrael, last week, went through a shchita. We were slaughtered. Nichshavnu katzon natevach yuval. We went through a Kabbalah. My unit, what we do is we collect the blood. We gathered all the blood. There was the holacha. We took the bodies, we took these precious kedoshim, and we had the zrika, we had the kvura. We buried them. How do we stay strong through such trauma? How do we stay strong through seeing these terrible things? The way to do it is to find the sweetness in the trunk, in the branch. We're in a process. Mashiach it's Mama, he's almost here. We're in Eretz Yisrael. I'm in Eretz Yisrael. Am Yisrael has everything. We have an army that could defend us. For the first time, in almost 2,000 years. That we have an army that can defend Am Yisrael. We're mamish at the end game. We're here at the 1 yard line. And yes, we had a terrible blow. And yes, nichshavnu katzon latevach yuval. Things that we didn't think we would ever experience in our life, we saw. And we experienced as a nation. Am Yisrael is dealing with this now. But this is part of the journey, and we need to be able to find the sweetness until we get to Mashiach. And that's what keeps me going. That's how I wake up in the morning. And that's hopefully how you'll be able to continue. And what I like to do now is just share with you a few stories of what I focus on in this period of the bark, in this period of the branch, where I'm able to find a little bit of sweetness, where I'm able to find a little bit of the fruit itself, of the sweetness of the Geula in the branch itself. So every Friday night in my family, we all go around the table and we say three things. Everyone says all the following three things. First of all, is one thing we want to thank Hashem for. Second thing is a mitzvah that we did that week. And the third thing is something fun that we did, something fun that we had a good time doing. And this week, when we went around the table, and it was my turn to thank Hashem for something, after being in the army, and after seeing everything that I saw, what I said was, I'm thankful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that I was born a Jew. I'm thankful to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that I am part of this amazing nation called Am Yisrael. You are part of this amazing nation called Am Yisrael. Do you have any idea how lucky you are to be part of Am Yisrael? It's mind-blowing, the nation that we have. We are a nation of soldiers who dance before they go into battle. Could you tell me any other nation in the world that sings and dances before they go into battle? This is the nation that you're part of. And there's a few stories that bring out this idea and this concept of being proud to be part of this nation. So one story is that there was soldiers, when they go out now into the field, so they're only allowed to take with them the bare necessities, things that are essential with them, right? So their phones they leave behind, but they take food and they pack their bags. And after being there for 2 days, one of their commanders of this unit calls the commander that was out in the field, and he says, do you or any of your soldiers need anything? Because I'm coming to meet you guys out in the field. So one of the soldiers that was there, he said, all of our physical needs are taken care of. We have food, we have sleeping bags, we're all good for now. He says, but my spiritual needs aren't taken care of. I'm in the middle of a daf in Sanhedrin. I need to finish the daf. I'm stuck in the middle of the daf. I don't have my Gemara with you. Could you please bring me a pocket-sized Gemara that I can learn while I'm out in the field when there's time? And then the other soldiers that are out there hear this, and they say, we also want to learn. Could you bring us also a Gemara? So they made a photocopy of 6 blot of Gemara, which is until they come back, and they gave it to he brought it to the platoon, and now they had Gemaras they were able to learn on their free time. This is Am Yisrael. This is like the stories they say about the Chayalim of Bet David, of David HaMelech's soldiers. They used to learn before they go out to war. I saw a screenshot of a WhatsApp group. There was a WhatsApp group, a platoon in the army, where the mefaked, the commander, he asks the group, he says as follows, he says, Yesh, Samech Pei Reish Yud Mem, Kama, Mitzarich, who needs? So Yesh, Samech Pei Reish Yud Mem, the soldier read it as Yesh Sfarim, there are books. Mitzarich, who needs a book? So the soldier writes, he says, Nitzrich Shulchan Aruch. He says, I need a Shulchan Aruch, I'm in the middle of Chazering, I need to learn the halacha. And the commander in the next line says, I didn't mean Sfarim, I meant saparim. Saparim are barbers. He says, there are barbers on base who can give you a haircut. Who needs to get a haircut? Everyone ran out from their home without getting a haircut. This is Am Yisrael. These are our soldiers. When they're out in the battle, what are they thinking about? Then the Gemara they can learn, the next thing that they can learn. This is Am Yisrael. Do you realize how lucky you are to be part of a nation that this is what there is? Soldiers with tzitzis going out into battle. Mamish, like the soldiers of Beis David. So what gives me the power to continue is to know that I'm part of Am Yisrael. To know that there are these soldiers on the front line that are protecting Am Yisrael. This is the sweetness of the fruit that we taste in the bark. The bark is bitter. It's bitter now. But we taste a little bit of the sweetness that's in the fruit. Another story. There were 2 girls who were at this party on Otif Aza. And they were hiding under a tree. There were like some roots, and they were able to hide underneath. And she starts recording herself. And it's her with her friend. And her friend is having a full-on panic attack. And you hear the bullets zipping in the background. And she's having a panic attack and she can't control herself. And she's telling her friend, calm down, the terrorists are going to be here in a minute. And if they see us, it's over. It's dead. And she's not listening. She says, calm down, calm down. And she grabs her friend by the hand and she says as follows. Repeat after me, word for word. Shema, Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad. And the girl calms down. She repeats it word for word and she calms down. That is our emunah. Our faith is what gives us serenity. Our faith is what gives us calmness. It's the ability to continue knowing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. Right after this attack, we woke up in the morning and he started saying Psukei de Zimra. Shiru LaHashem, Kol Haaretz. Really? I can say Shiru LaHashem now? But then you realize, you continue and you say, En lekamot Hashem, En lekamot Ofiyah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes revenge. Hashem Oshia Melech Haninu V'yom Karina. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will redeem us. Will take us out of this. So yeah, this is our nation. And this is the silver lining, the sweetness of the fruit that you have in the branch itself that gives us chizuk. And I want to share a few other stories that also give me chizuk. There was a friend, a Rav that I know. His name is Rav Hillel Matzbach. He's a Rav in Yad Binyamin. And on Friday, this past Friday, he gets a call from someone that he knows. And he answers the phone, and there's a woman on the other line, and she tells him, Rabbi, I'm pregnant, and I need to give, I think I'm going to abort this child. He says, did you see what happened in Gaza? Did you see how they burnt babies? Did you see how they murdered babies? How can I bring a child into this world? How can I bring a child into a world where Jews are being massacred in the masses? So the rabbi listens to her, and he tells her, he says, listen carefully. He says, you're right. We were killed. We were murdered. We were slaughtered. But that was 1%. Look at the rest of Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is chai v'kayam. We're living. We're strong. We're an incredible nation. You know how amazing it is to be part of Am Yisrael. He says, to the contrary, we need your baby. There were over 1,300 neshamos that left this world. We need more neshamos. We need more souls to be brought into this world. More of Am Yisrael to be brought into this world. Not less now. And he says that he related this to her, and hopefully she accepted. He said, I don't know. And she hung up the phone. And he hung up the phone. He said that night, Friday night, he shared this with his platoon. He's the Rav Tzvai up north. And he shared this with 300 soldiers. At the end of Shabbos, one of the soldiers comes up to him and tells him, Rabbi, listen. He says, I got married 5 years ago. And me and my wife, we decided that we're only having 2 kids. I wanted a little more. I was always pushing her. And she said, no, we're only stopping at 2. And we agreed, okay, we're only having 2 kids. He said, I called my wife and I told her what you said. I told her that now is the time to have more kids. Now is the time to bring more neshamos into Am Yisrael. Now is the time to continue to be strong. And she agreed and she says, B'ezrat Hashem, if Hashem blesses us, we want to have 2 more kids. This is Am Yisrael. This is the nation that you are. When we get knocked down, we get up stronger. Hen Am Kalavi. We're like a lion. We rage up. What gives me the strength to continue after I see all the travesties is knowing that I'm part of Am Yisrael, knowing how lucky I am to be part of this amazing nation. There was another report on the news also. There was a father and a son whose sister and daughter was at this party, and they heard she was there. She called him, and they got in their pickup truck. They took a few guns, and they ran to save her. They saved over 30 people, including his daughter and his sister. And the news had like a gathering where they brought these people together with these 2 men that saved their lives. And it was very emotional, knowing that they saved life. But this man stood before them, and he said, you just got a second chance at life. You got another gift at life. Make the best of it. Get married, have children. Am Yisrael Chai, continue. So, what gives me the strength? Am Yisrael gives me the strength. In my unit, when the things get difficult, we step outside, and there's a huge wall that has, someone took all the pictures that the kids sent to our base, and taped it all along the wall, and we stop and we look outside and we read Am Yisrael Chai, Lo Lefached, be strong, you can do it, you're able to continue. So if you ask me, how is it that I continue? How are you able to wake up in the morning and join with your family and move on? How are you able, you Am Yisrael, how are you able to continue after we experience such a shock, which we haven't seen since the Holocaust? How could we get up on our feet? The way to get up on our feet is to find the sweetness in the branch. We're in the branch. We're almost at the fruit. We're almost at the Geula. We're almost Mashiach is Mamish. He's almost here. We're about to taste from the fruit. But in the meantime, until we get to the fruit, we need to be able to taste the sweetness in the branch itself. We need to taste the sweetness in the process to get to the fruit itself. So my bracha to each and every single one of you is that we should be zocha, Bezrat Hashem, to taste the sweetness. Open up your eyes and see the amazingness of what we have here. See the amazingness of Am Yisrael and how lucky we are to be part of this amazing nation. And Bezrat Hashem, every single one of us will be zocha to taste from the fruit itself, to taste from the Geula Shlema, to dance together and sing together. And may all these neshamas and all the people who died throughout history, who were murdered, Al Kiddush Hashem, all come up, L'tchiyah, B'mheira B'yameinu, dancing together in Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, B'mra B'yameinu. Amen.